So now I will go over the front end of my application. That is very basic application that has a web page which has two buttons. One is for the get item and the other is for the save item. So whenever the get item action is triggered, so it first call the authorization API, gets the authorization header, and then it calls the get item, and in this call it basically sends the authorization header, and on the API end, the API calculates the authorization and then compare the header which is sent in this call. If both are same, then my call is accepted, otherwise it is rejected. So I will demonstrate this thing on the web page, but first I want to go through this code. So this application has, if you can see on the left hand side, it has an app component, and in the HTML file you can see I have like this div is for the get request portion, and it has a button, and that button is tied to this click event, and which is calling this get item action. I'll go over the get item, but first I want to describe the HTML file. So here whenever get item retrieves any item, then it is displayed here on the page. The same thing for the post request. So this is the portion for the post request. So here I have a form which has input field, and whatever I type in this input field, this is sent to the API as a payload, and then the output is displayed over here. Now let's go to the TypeScript file. So you can see here is the definition of this get item. So in this method, first I'm calling this get authorization header that is inside the authorization service, and I'm passing these parameters. This one is the method for my get item request, that is the get one. The host that I'm extracting from this URL, which one is basically my API URL. This one is the canonical URI, which is dev item. So this is everything after this .com part, and this one is the canonical query string, which is empty because I don't have any query parameters in this case. And the payload, this is empty in the get request. So let's go to this method definition. So that is inside this authorization service. So after getting all these parameters, I'm converting that to authorization request object, and then here I'm calling the post method of my authorization API, and this is the URL for the API, and I'm passing this object as a body of this request. And after getting the response, I'm transforming that in this JSON. And the second method, that is for the save item. So it is also getting the authorization header, and the method is post, the same host, canonical URI, canonical query string, and it has the payload. So it has the item which I'm sending in this post request. So this payload I'm getting from the UI, and then I'm calculating the authorization header for that. So once I have, I can show you over here. So this payload will be sent as a content of this request, and then it will generate the authorization header, and the same the response is transformed to this JSON. And if I go back to the TS file, So after getting the sign request, I'm getting this authorization header from that, and then I am calling to the save item post request, and here I'm sending the payload with this API call, and this one is the authorization header which I'm sending in this call. So now let's go to the web page and see this in action. So this is the front end of my application that has the GET request portion and the POST request portion. So I have opened this network console here to see the API calls. So first I'll go here and click on the get item button. So first call is made for the authorization header. Let's go and see this request. So I'm sending this canonical query string, canonical URI, content, host, and method in this call, and in response I'm getting back authorization, content, and the date. And then the second API call. So in this call I'm using the authorization header here, authorization, and this is the content, and this one is the Amazon date. And in response I'm getting back this success code and body, and then I'm displaying it over here. Same thing I can do for the post request. I'll just copy this content and paste it over here, and then I'll click on the save item. So you can see again the authorization is first calculated, and the second is the post request is called. So in this case here I'm sending this content, and the rest is the same, and this one is the post method I'm sending it, and based upon that I'm generating the authorization header, which is basically this thing, and I'm using this thing in the next call in the header over here in the authorization. This one is the content, and this one is the XML on date, and this one is a payload. In the response I'm getting the success response from that. So yay, we have successfully called the signed API requests.